So we have previously done a video about the battle tanks from the Imperium of Man, and now we will showcase even bigger land vehicles that are fielded by humanity as a whole in a 40k universe. These things are just over the top and massive in size, so big that tanks look like toys in front of them. They are in a league of their own, some with firepower and size that rivals the Titans, and some even completely dwarfing them. If you're new to this channel, then hit that subscribe button, and now let's get on with the video. Number 1, we have the Gorgon. An armored assault transport used by the Imperial Guard, the Gorgon is 13.9 meters or 45.6 feet long and weighs 220 tons. This vehicle is as big as the biggest of the super heavy tanks, but as we have already done a video on the biggest battle tanks, we won't be including them here. You can check the other video out. Utilized by the siege regiments and most notably by the Creek Death Corps, it is a piece of machinery, the Gorgon, that you would see crossing trench warfare battle zones. Scenes that are reminiscent of World War I. The Gorgon is the heaviest transport vehicle of the Imperium of Man, solely transport. It is capable of carrying up to 50 soldiers, about 5 times the ordinary Chimera and nearly double of the super heavy Crassus infantry transport. But it is rarely employed as a frontline vehicle due to its massive bulk, its poor speed and mediocre weaponry, as it'll basically be a sitting duck for the enemy. Number 2, the Mastodon. This one is another transport vehicle of the Imperium that can also be thought of as a tank, but it is more in the lines of a super heavy assault transport, bigger than the Gorgon. This weapon of war can carry up to 40 Space Marines or 2 Dreadnoughts and 20 Marines along with them. Its origins trace back to before the Great Crusade in the 31st millennium, but was used by the Legiones Astartes primarily during the Crusade and later in the Horus Heresy by both the Loyalists and the Traitor Marines. During the Kharatan campaign in the Great Crusade, the Salamanders, a legion of Space Marines, utilized up to 150 Mastodons to transport 6,000 Astartes warriors deep behind enemy lines to crush the resistance of the planet that kind of worshipped the Eldari Psychers as gods. This was the same war that led Vulcan to condemn the Night Lords for their massacre of the civilian populace. The Gorgon is so armored that it can demolish walls head-on and then release its deadly payload of Space Marines deep behind enemy lines to crush and sabotage the defenses of the fortified targets. Number 3, the Mantulate. The Imperium doesn't just conduct operations by infantry charges in the battlefield or just by dropships from the skies. They also come from beneath the ground using monstrous machines called drillers. These burrowing machines are created by the Mechanicum, or later the Mechanicus, and then utilized by the forces of humanity as well as the Chaos Marines for surprise assaults. The biggest of these are called the Mantulates, which were so enormous that they had teleportation chambers within their hulls. They were used by the Sons of Horus during the assault on the Saturnine Gate in the Siege of Terror during the Horus Heresy, when the termite tunneling devices or vehicles were utterly destroyed by the defending Loyalists, and also when they saw the Sons of Horus burn to death within them. The traitor legions decide to unleash the bigger Mantulates that could teleport soldiers to the front lines, but due to being out of teleportation range, the battle plan was null and couldn't be acted upon. So that's it for the Mantulate. Number 4, the Capital Imperialis. This vehicle rivals a Titan in size. It is 50 meters or 145 feet tall, almost as tall as an Imperator Titan, and also 80 meters or 260 feet in length. It is one hell of a heavy tank / assault transport, also a mobile command center. It weighs in excess of 67,000 tons. Its primary weapon is the gigantic Behemoth cannon, which has a barrel large enough to hold 4 battle tanks inside of it. A Capital Imperialis can transport 2 whole companies of Imperial Guard. This enables the vehicle to serve as a mobile bunker for troops, particularly in hostile worlds. The use of the Capital Imperialis is vast and deadly. It could be used as a defensive mobile fortress, which it did against the Tyranids in Tarsus Ultra, with its Behemoth cannon almost killing the Biotitan unleashed by the Great Devourer. It can also be used for offensive operations as well as siege operations, as evident during the Horus Heresy in the Siege of Terror. One of these, called the Contemptuous, serves as the headquarters for a cohort of Imperial troops in a distant planet. Number 5, the Leviathan. This next entry is basically more of a moving fortress or a land battleship. Although designated as an armored transport and mobile command center, it can also be thought of as a castle on wheels or tracks. This incredible vehicle was built by the squads and delivered to the Imperial Guard as part of the mutual exchange of materials between the squad homeworlds and the Imperium of Man. The Imperium used Leviathans as massive army command centers to coordinate the large number of personnel and vehicles seen in the Imperial Guard regiments. Imagine a defensive bunker with communications and surveillance equipment where you can direct your troops to different flanks and positions in a battlefield. Now imagine that bunker as an offensive command center which is 90 meters or 300 feet tall, possessing Titan-scale void shields and a doomsday cannon with turreted battle cannons, las cannons, missiles and bolters in every caliber for all-round protection. That's the Leviathan for you. Number 6. The Land Behemoth Monasteries. Operated by the Iron Hands, which are also known as the 10th Legion and now as chapters, these are ancient massive mobile fortresses which operate as a defensive war machine as well as a fortress monastery. For you who don't know what that means, well, fortress monasteries are usually headquarters for Space Marine chapters, or at the very least a clan or a company. Just as the fortress monastery of the Dark Angels is the Rock, which is more of a spaceship, the Land Behemoth of the Iron Hands is kind of like a gigantic armored weapons-laden train. These land behemoths are maintained by the tech priests and their servitors. They are so large that they also serve as the barracks and armory for the Space Marine companies. These huge vehicles are part of the defense system of a planet called Medusa, a barren volcanic world with high mountain ranges. Anyway, these land behemoths are equipped with all sorts of cannons and bolters as well as missiles for defense. Number 7. The Ordinatus Armageddon. So let's start by describing what these Ordinatus are, in plural form the Ordinati. They are Leviathan-sized war machines created by the Adeptus Mechanicus. They are maintained and overseen by the Centuria Ordinatus. Each of these colossal war machines is distinct in that it was created for a specific reason and for a specific conflict. This is why various Ordinati have weapons that are highly specialized for their specific duty. Each is protected by an energy dispersion field which is kind of like a void shield but kind of different, which deflects weapons that are fired at it. The biggest is of course the Ordinatus Armageddon, which is theorized to be kilometers long, or at the very least between 100 meters and 500 meters in length or size. The primary weapon of the Ordinatus Armageddon was a Nova cannon, which is a massive plasma weapon that is generally mounted on Imperial Navy cruisers. These weapons are capable of destroying a battle titan with a single blast. These are the pinnacle of the power and innovation of the Adeptus Mechanicus. Number 7. The Land Ships of Zaith. These colossal entities are part of a war world called Zaith that is located in the Corvinus Expanse near the Halo stars, untouched by the Great Crusade or even by the Imperium. Zaith's land ships are massive crawling hive cities on treads, with some the size of space cruisers and others large enough to serve as docks or even as full-scale battleships. The land ships are armed with strong Dark Age of Technology macro cannons, with also virulent bioagents, conversion beam batteries, and squadrons of missile-laden dust gliders. These weapons it uses have been kept intact for literally thousands of years of steady usage. It is theorized that these land ships are not just enormous multi-kilometer sized vehicular structures, but they are in fact intact STCs, or maybe just products of an STC that is the core of the planet's capital city called Zorlan. Number 9. Ambulon, the Walking City. This massive entity is seen as a hive city, but the entirety of it is supported by a machine with multiple legs. The machine is extremely old and was almost certainly already on Scintilla when the Imperium conquered the Calixtus sector. This walking city is one of the few hive cities on the planet, of which the others are typical sedentary cities like others found in the Imperium. Ambulon's buildings are built all over the walking machine, with the biggest and the tallest found on its central spine, which offers the most stability. It is navigated by a huge and very complicated control center powered by arcane engines of incredibly occult design. It is unknown as to how or when it was constructed, but it is definitely pre-imperial and most probably traces its origins to the Dark Age of Technology, or at the very least during the Age of Strife. And number 10. The Walking City of Terror. This isn't really a vehicle but a city on legs. Anyway, just as with the Ambulon or the land ships of Zaith, this is a mobile industrial city that perpetually walks across the equator of Terra, the holy planet of the Imperium of Man. On 20 huge legs, the walking city was or still is a densely populated, movable techno-nomad platform that slowly walks a looping circuit towards Terra's equator and back. During the Horus Heresy, just before the start of the Siege of Terra, the walking city was attacked by a daemon known as the Lord of Flies, who had manifested in the material realm through the potent faith of a secret church dedicated to the cult of the God Emperor. The demon had infected the people, turning them into plague-ridden zombies, and so to get rid of this infestation, the Knights Errant were dispatched to repel and cleanse the attack, which were successful with every taint of chaos removed from the entire place. And so those are the biggest ever land vehicles of humanity in Warhammer 40k. So I hope you have enjoyed watching this video. Do hit that like button for support and subscribe, but most of all smash that bell icon for regular updates on new videos here on this channel. Take care, boys.